Mr. Justin Burns, VP Justin Burns. I kind of wanted to point out that we're not only on your farm, but also excited to work with you at Barenbrug, and I'd like to take just a little bit of time and kind of let you give a rundown of what you do for Barenbrug and everything. But as we're moving through here, we're here to cross-seed some clover on some of your pastures, and at the same time, what I'd like you to do is give us a little bit of a rundown of what you do on your cow-calf operation.
Yeah, thanks, Joel. Yeah, I'm the Vice President of Marketing and Sales for Barenbrug, and so research and development, some of the ideas that we have from a product development standpoint, marketing and sales as well are things that are in my responsibilities. But I'm also a cattleman, which is pretty nice because some of the ideas and the products and things that we have I can test on my own farm. I'd say that when it comes to my cattle operation, I'm probably your pretty typical cattleman. I have a full-time job in town, as Joel talked about, and I use the farm as part of a heritage that, you know, my family's farmed my whole life, as well as something that can supplement my income and something that's waiting for me for retirement. Pretty typical cow-calf operation, commercial cattle. Probably we considered a fairly low input operation. I have fall calvers and spring calvers. The cattle here on this place will start calving here in a week or two. And then I've got another bunch at another farm that calve in the fall. My forage program is pretty consistent with people in this area or most of the fescue belt. I have tall fescue as my base, so I get quite a bit of growth in the spring, oftentimes more growth than I can actually utilize with the cattle, so I end up cutting hay. And then I get the summer slump there where I don't have a whole lot growing in the summertime in this part of the region. We're too far north for Bermuda grass. And then I get that fall boost with some rain, and I can stockpile tall fescue and feed it into the winter. A few years back, thinking about some of these programs, a pinpoint forage delivery system, I implement that on this farm. And in fact, that's some of what we're doing today. So I have my tall fescue base, and I'm looking to fill those gaps when tall fescue's not there. A couple years ago, I started using Mojo crabgrass, and it works really good for late summer, early fall. It's very high quality. Grows at a time when we don't have hardly anything here. And so that's really helped maximize my days of grazing. And then I'm going to add red clover into these fields today to really be that sort of late spring, early summer portion. And so I'll have tall fescue, red clover, then the crabgrass, and back to fescue. So using all those products in a program, in a system to try to maximize the days of grazing, because every day I'm grazing is days I'm making money and days that I don't have to be quite as labor intensive on the farm, which is very helpful when Joel and I are trying to work for Barenbrug too.
Well, you mentioned with the clover also, you're getting that early when you're stockpiling your fescue or going in. The fescue's really coming out of that summer stage because it's semi-dormant. Then you also got the clover in the fall, and then that crabgrass. You know, a lot of people in a lot of parts of the world think about the southeast as only being crabgrass, but when you think about it, there's a lot of folks up in these northern, which you don't really call southern Missouri northern, but to a point. But you're getting closer to where you don't have Bermuda grass, and utilizing a summer annual like crabgrass, the Mojo works really, really well.
Yeah. So the crabgrass was a little bit interesting to me. Is I really had it in my mind it was going to be like a plant it in May and have it in June, July, but it really comes on more in July and August. And although it is high quality forage for that time of year, what it really does is allow me to concentrate my cattle on that crabgrass and keep them off my tall fescue. So I can fertilize my tall fescue in the fall for stockpiling into the winter. So that window there of late summer, early fall, and being able to have a place to go with my cattle while I stockpile saves me hay and time in the winter time. I get further down the calendar, you know, into the winter before I'm starting to have to feed much hay. And feeding hay is, I mean, it's just part of it, but it's one of the most most labor intensive and costly things that I have to do as a cattleman.
And with it, the pinpoint system, like you mentioned, with the crabgrass and utilizing the clovers to do that, and then also in the pinpoint system that we point out is I know that you also have the E34 soft leaf tall fescue, which is not the coarse leaf tall fescue that we've both got got on both of our ranches and farms, that we've kind of been our backbone for our operations a lot of times, the old standby tall fescue. But you've got E34, I know, right over across the pasture that I rode across horseback, roped a few calves one day over here. It was fun. Yeah. But yeah, that's something I'd like to, if you don't mind mentioning that.
Yeah, so the side of this place over by the highway, there's 35, 38 acres, something like that, that's in the novel endophyte Baroptima plus E34. And we talk a lot within Barenbrug that our products need to be tactical and practical. Tactical in that they solve a problem. Well, fescue toxicosis is a problem, and Baroptima certainly solves that. But also practical in that it has to be something that people can use. It's got to be able to fit. The majority of the cattlemen out there need to be able to use the product. It needs to be practical for them. And so actually on the other side of the farm, back a few years ago, when we were renovating, we tried some different renovation techniques. So the two fields, there's about 16 acres up against the highway. That was in tall fescue, sprayed out, planted in Roundup Ready soybeans for a year, short season bean, took it off in the fall, and then drilled in Baroptima. And then the other fields, we came in the spring and we sprayed with chaparral to suppress seed heads. And then we came in August, baled it off, came in August and sprayed Roundup to burn everything down, waited 5-6 weeks, sprayed it again, and then drilled right into that sod. And maybe we'll get some pictures of it, but obviously we got a real clean stand where we started with the behind the beans, which is the most optimal. But it's not always practical for everybody to plant soybeans. So the spraying, the spray, wait, spray, plant system on the rest of it worked very well too. And now when you drive across it, it's hard to tell which was planted. If one was planted spray, wait, spray, or one was spray, smother, spray. And so to me that gives you as a cattleman, gives you a lot of options of how to utilize this product. And that the typical guy can get rid of their toxic fescue, can get rid of the fescue toxicosis problems, and plant Baroptima and be successful with it.
Yeah, just using it as a tool. You're using a toolbox. Yeah, so well, good. Well, thanks, Justin. We're gonna plant some fields, put out some Freedom Red Clover. Hopefully, get some snow on it for the next few days, and I may stick around. And yeah, you ain't lying. It's cold. Thanks, Justin.